All right, welcome back to another video on our node by node challenge where we're going through every single node in the shading workspace within Blender 4.3. We went through all the inputs, outputs, colors, converters, and we are on shaders now. And we are on one that is called Emission shader. So Emission shader is usually used for lights, but you can use it for other things. So you can use it for objects that you want to have an actual emitting light. So the way I would look at it is think of like a flashlight that if you're not actually putting a light in it, but you want that material on the outside to have a emission come off of it. You could do that. Think of like a character like Superman where he's got red glowing eyes, you know, when he's getting ready to fire lasers. You could use the emission shader on his eyes. You could use it on, you know, anything sci-fi that has like lasers or anything like that. You could have it almost like have an emitting of light. And basically all it is it's a really basic shader. It's got a color input that you can input any color node or any type of color node into it. And then it's got a numeric input too, so that you're going to be able to control how strong the emission is. And then as a shader output. So this cannot go into another shader, so you can't plug emission into a principal BSDF because it's already a green output, which only can go into one of the mix shader nodes, like a mix shader or an add shader, and then it can also go into a surface. Now you can convert it over and do something like a shader to RGB if you have a special type of output you're trying to get over an Eevee. But as a whole, it's usually going to go into one of these add shader, mix shader ones that you have. Now with color, you can change the color around, and all it's going to do is change the color of the emission. So in this case, like it's emitting off like a whitish color, or sorry, a bluish color with like a whiter bluish rim to it. You can control the strength of it. The stronger you go, the more it's going to make the underlying object kind of disappear. Okay, so you see how it's got a blue emission, but if I go to 0, it's gray, and the reason why that is because 0 is basically black, and then you have white down here that's mixing with it too. So it's adding the two together to get this like grayish color. But the second you start having it emit light, it's emitting a blue light. So that can be kind of cool too if you're trying to get a certain look for your object and you want it to have a certain emission color. As you change over some of the aspects of the principal BSDF, it's going to change the overall as well. So you can change all those. I want to make it almost look like it's like gel, where it can kind of be see-through a little bit. But this gives you an idea of how it works. The whole point behind it is that the emission can add some light to it. Now I will say that when you're working with any lights and you go to use nodes, it's going to default have one of these emission shaders on here. And then you can control the emission as to how strong you want it to be. So something to keep in mind. If you notice that on the object now, it's got kind of like an orangish hue. If I wanted to do purple, I could do that. And same thing, it's just going to control a little bit about the color of the light and how strong the emission is on here. So that's the emission one. That's a pretty simple one, self-explanatory for the most part. If you have questions, let me know. Like, follow, share, and stay tuned for the next one.